Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's the final sprint race of the season, not the penultimate race of the season, it's the penultimate race of the season. 2 races to go after this one. Lots of points on the board for this circuit, for this event, I should say. And more importantly for the championship, Neferjan, his teammate and his championship rival, has not turned up. AlphaTauri, they've got the championship secured for the team's championship, so there's no need to worry about that. They're going to go for maximum points. They want to get pole position, race wins, fastest laps in everything they possibly can this weekend to get every point they possibly can. They need every single little point they possibly can get as well. We might have a couple of reserves joining us later on, and hopefully we do. If we don't, then that's no problem. We also have a sprint race, of course, so we might see some drivers for the main race. We might not. Time will tell how it goes. Neferjan, is he going to go into the pit lane, or is he going to go and set another lap in these wet conditions? That's the nature of a circuit like this. In the wet conditions, you can just keep going and going and going and going for laps. So what you often see drivers do is about 2 stints. That is a bit of a loss of traction for Nifo, so he's probably going to come in on this stint and then go out again. Although, actually, would they do that, or would they want to just try and stay on this one set of tyres for quality, because a lot of the race is wet, so there's no need to actually just wear any more wet tyres out. That's actually a very good point there for Neferjan to consider. Good to see you, Cohen and Zingy. It's not a good enough excuse, but I'll let you off. I'm joking. Enjoy it. Hopefully you can find some entertainment if you're not face down in the pool. That is PJ in P4, and that is a little bit of a spin. Still got a while to go in the session, so he shouldn't be worrying too much. Of course, just relax. He's got a sprint race to get through as well, so if he does make mistakes in that one, he can get a second chance. In the main race, it's just the more the merrier, I guess. The better it is. Really, sprint races should be seen as a positive, especially if you're good in the races. PJ will want to look at some sort of improvement, but he's not really in too much of a rush. You've got Dave Raptors. He is F1.5, of course. He's just going to be getting used to the track as well. And so is Bassoon. They both use assist. I can't quite remember which assist. I know Bassoon uses ABS, and I believe ABS and traction control is used for Dave Raptors. I can't quite remember, but I believe that's the case. That would be medium traction control. There's no assists in this league except from racing line in the corners. So they're going to be just trying to get used to that, of course. And Hydra, they've got a brand new wheel, so they're going to be trying to get used to that. A couple drivers trying to get used to their surroundings. And then, of course, we've got Gilly. He's a reserve driver, so actually the only current tier drivers that don't have anything going on differently is Neferjan and PJ. So, yeah, let's see what they can do, of course. We've got a bit of a mix-up. And you know what? It's very interesting, isn't it? Lots of weather changes for the races, and I will be honest, I've actually forgotten what the weather conditions will be changing to. So what I'm going to do is quickly get that up on my screen, and then I'll let you know within the next few minutes, of course. But yes, we'll find that out very shortly. Alright, here we go. Let's see. So the sprint race, we've got heavy rain with a little bit of light rain later on in the session, and then in the main race we've got light cloud to start the rain, and then going the race, and then going on to heavy rain later on. It's thunderstormy in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Interlagos, Autodromo Carlos Pace, whatever you want to call it. That is a really bad pronunciation, but I did my best. So yeah, it's very, very interesting conditions. Not good, just interesting. I think that's something important to note. Pursoon goes and sets an 18.850. That is absolutely awesome. And Nipojan, they are on their way out, and of course they're on their way out with a fresh set of tyres, but they've got a little bit of work to do. Bassoon looking like he might be able to get a pole position. He was joking about it before, but it's going to be possible. It's going to be possible. Let's have a look. Nipojan, he hasn't got really that long. I think he'll have about 2 laps to get one in. Or to get 2 laps in and try and improve over Bassoon. But yeah, that's put a little bit of jeopardy in it, of course. We'll have to see how that one goes a little bit later on. He's about to start his lap, so we will watch on board with him very, very shortly. Just a second. Alrighty, here we go. This is Nipojan going for their final couple of runs at least. As they head down to turn 1, you want to pull it to the right-hand side, open up the track as much as you can, but don't touch the grass at all, especially in these wet conditions. Riding the inside curb of 2, but not 1, and kind of staying away from 3, trying to open up the steering and go wide so you can actually get the throttle down. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck and you're going to be waiting and waiting and waiting with the throttle on like 75%. Through turn 5, they don't take the inside curb, but they still go purple. So that's not too bad. Bit of a moment on the exit, but they kept it in a straight line. 6 and 7. Very hard to get right, especially with the gearing in the wet conditions as well. As you get to turn 7, the car can really lose it on the rear downforce-wise. But in the wet conditions, you should have a lot of downforce. So maybe that wouldn't be so much of a problem rather than traction. Now into turns, I think this is 10 or 9 and 10-ish kind of area. Very, very tricky to get right. You can lock it very easily, but you're just trying to get it tidy in the wet conditions. That's where you're going to gain the most. Through 11 and into 12, we shall go now. Looking pretty tidy. Hold it to the left-hand side. Bit of a moment, but nothing too much to worry about. They're not really bringing it so tight to the right, but that's because it's wet and you can easily lose it. Now hold it to the left-hand side. And what's it going to be for Nipojan? That is going to be an 18.2. Absolutely smashed it out of the park. That is absolutely brilliant. 1 minute left on the clock, so he can go again. I don't think he'd be able to wait, but he can definitely go again right now if he continues with this lap. Brilliant job there from him. Hack the Tank in P7. EU driver for this weekend. So they're going to race today, and they're going to give it their best shot to just get out on track and get a setup in, I guess. That's always good to see, but Hank the Tank going to just try and show us what he can do. I've raced with him myself before. He's going to be racing permanently tomorrow. He's just going to be reserving today just to see how he goes. If he does well, then maybe we can push him up the order tier-wise. Nipojan actually going to let the car behind of Bassoon go. Bassoon's going to try and get another lap, and we've got Gilly, who's going to come around the final few corners to try and improve. I think was that Dave Raptors going across the line just a second ago to set an improvement lap or start an improvement lap. Gilly goes across the line. It's not going to be an improvement, so they're going to once again start a lap. Lots of drivers just starting laps. That is Heisler improving up to P3 and 19.0. 2 tenths away from Bassoon, but that will be pretty much it. That's Gilly unfortunately losing it already. I don't think Heisler's going to be able to improve again. I think that's going to be it for him. So it's still very, very good effort P3. It's just whether the cars behind can improve. Hank the Tank will not be able to get a lap done in time, so no worries for them. PJ also will finish the session. Nipojan 2 will do the same thing. We've got Dave Raptors who are going to try and look at improvement. They're a 10th down, it says on the Delta as of now. We will watch on board and see until we get to the Delta line. Through the S section, I guess you call it the S section. They're actually going very slowly, so that's not going to be an improvement. Heisler, they are waiting for Gilly to go through. We'll watch Gilly anyway, although the session is over. I don't believe Bassoon's going to be improving. Actually, they're still going for it. I think they're still going for it. Oh, no, they are not. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. I'm so sorry, Bassoon, for doing the commentator's curse. Nipojan takes pole position. Then we have Bassoon in P2, Heisler in P3, Gilly, Dave Raptors, PJ, and Hank the Tank. That is how the grid is looking for the race. Let's see how this one goes, of course. I'm just going to quickly do a quick corner count, because although I should know this, I have kind of forgotten. Let's turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is that right? I think 15 corners. I might not have got them in the right places, but I'm pretty sure it's 15 corners. Yeah, it's definitely. It is. I don't know what I'm talking about. 15 corners. Alrighty. Just waiting for the drivers to retire their cars, and then we'll be good to go. There you go. On to the sprint race now. And we're going to get some very, very interesting situations on our hands with the weather, of course. Full wet, and then light rain intermediates, who will try and stay out all the way on those wet tyres. Nifojan takes pole position, Pursuit in P2, and then Heichler in P3. That is the rest of the grid, and then we'll skim through the race director just in case. We'll see you in a bit for the sprint race. Ready, hold, go! Who's gonna get it into turn 1? We're finally away just about. Lovely stuff. That is a very interesting start. Pursuit is not able to get away very well. But Nifo, absolutely epic. Heichler up the order. That's absolutely perfect from them. Then we got Gilly sitting just behind with the Alpine of PJ. The Williams, of course, as well. Very, very good stuff from the start. Lots of stuff going on. That's Hank the Tank. Interestingly disconnected. That's not ideal. It's what it is. Nifojan leads the way by 1.2 seconds already. So a brilliant, brilliant job from them. Pursuit sitting in P2 still. They've got a bit of a gap, but Heichler is right behind them, keeping that pressure on. Time will tell how this goes. Pursuit, he's got no ABS that he's used to, and Heichler, of course, got a brand new wheel that they're not really used to. So they both have something involved, of course. Hold on a second. I do apologise. That is not a yellow for anyone. I'm just trying to quickly sort something out. And we're good to go for now. Lovely stuff. Alrighty, so Pursuit sitting behind still. Lap 1, we're going to start lap 2. Nifojan still has the lead, and that's PJ retiring. I do not believe it. Retiring already as they go out the final major corner of the circuit, and that is them in the bin. I don't know if they were side by side or not, but that is them out of the sprint race. They will be starting last for the main race. That is not what we want to see ever. Nifojan is thankful that there's no safety car after that one. Pursuit probably not really too bothered. Heisler not too bothered either. Gilly and Dave Raptors, there's a bit of a gap between them and the cars in front. Likewise for Dave Raptors compared to Gilly. So, yeah, a bit of a spread out situation right there, which is very, very interesting. But yeah, that is what it is. Nifojan doesn't need to worry. 2 seconds ahead of the pack at the moment, so doing a brilliant, brilliant job. Sorry for the delay. I do apologise. Got a little bit of a bug, but we're all good to go. We're all good to go. All right. Already lap 3. Let's see how this one goes. All right, let's talk about the weather, actually. Heavy weather at the moment. As you can see, everybody on the blue wool tyres. That will possibly change towards the end. It says that it's going to be inters at the end of this race, although as it's a sprint race, we don't go on for as long. So we might not need to actually move on to a different tyre. That being said, if we do need to move on to a different tyre, I bet that there'll be a lot of drivers that will try their best to stay out for as long as they can and not go for a pit stop, even if the tyres aren't up for the job. There's a 1.2 gap now. It's just increased to that margin, so Pursuit's got a little bit of pace. But it can still come back from this. I know I said we're already on lap 3, but lap 12, we've still got a long way to go. This is one of the longer sprint races on the calendar. Yes, it's a shorter circuit, but it has more laps. That's what I'm trying to say. So it does create for more opportunities, really. Which can be good, but when you're in a dry race condition, ERS-wise is generally very difficult to manage. So if that is anything to look into for this race, it's difficult to manage in the first and final sector. The middle sector, you're braking a lot. There's not many straights, so you don't have to use energy. I think that could then maybe make energy quite valuable even in the wet conditions. Now, who will manage that the best? I don't know, but I can give it a pretty good guess that it's going to be Nifojan because he has such a big gap to the cars behind it. He doesn't need to worry about using any energy, so he'll probably just be on 100% battery the entire time. And there's no need to go for a fastest lap in the sprint race, of course, because you don't actually get an extra point for it. Heisler still holding on behind. Gilly's not too far either, so if these guys do fight or make mistakes even, Gilly's going to be right there. Dave Raptors can't quite catch up to the guys ahead, but he should be good to go a little bit later on. I think it's all about just trying to get the experience, of course, and then you'll slowly be able to ramp up the pace, of course. In the wet conditions, it's even harder. In the main race, we will start the race with a set of dry tyres. So that's going to be good to go. I don't know if he's going to try and go for the softs or try and go for the medium tyres, but you won't be wanting to go for the hards because we'll be on to a set of wets fairly soon in that session, I am sure. Soon, I was going to say, no, Nifojan takes fastest lap as we start lap 5 out of 12. Soon sitting behind again, as always, in P2. Heisler sat in P3, Gilly 1.7 seconds behind, not too far away. So unfortunate, PJ, I'm so sorry. Another opportunity though, another opportunity in the race, don't worry about it, it's all good. Nifojan, 4 seconds, what is he going to extend that to? Well, it's almost a second a lap. So you'd say about 12 seconds, wouldn't you? It's possible. All right, you know what? Let's say 12 seconds. Let's say 12 seconds. See if he can prove us wrong by going further. Not less, just 12 seconds. Let's see how it goes. Alrighty. 8 tenths now. The gap's kind of fluctuating. It's going forward and backwards between Heisch and Pursuit. Gilly has caught up a little bit, as that is a little bit of a rear loss of traction for Heisch, but even more so, I guess, from Gilly, because he doesn't catch up too much right here on the straight. So Gilly for a moment, was catching up quite nicely, and they could still catch up. They could still catch up. So the gaps between all these guys is changing pretty often at this point. But Spassoon breaking away all of a sudden, so doing a very, very good job. As actually it's Heischler who's actually made the mistake. They lose that big time to Spassoon, and Gilly catches up absolutely massively, almost getting to the 1 second range. They're now within the 1 second range, so Heischler's just knocked their confidence a little bit maybe. Now they've got a bit of an issue, and Gilly's managed to find an opportunity to put that pressure on that Red Bull. Looking like it could be vulnerable within the next few laps if they're not careful. They need to try and find that rhythm. But Spassoon all of a sudden is able to relax. They got to make sure that they don't relax too much though, because otherwise they could lose out on concentration big time. Heischler, he just needs to make sure that he ignores what's just happened and focuses on just driving the car, not even worrying about who is in front of him, who's behind him, where he is on the track. He just needs to make sure that he drives the car. Nifojan getting a time penalty as Heisch goes deep into the corner. Gilly is going to try and look at the switchback here. When does he dare to put that ERS on? When does he dare? He's going to dare just about now, but he's not going to be close enough. I thought he was going to try and get a little bit earlier than that and risk spinning out. It would have been possibly worth it if he could have made the move work. He catches up massively, but isn't able to get anything on Heischler. Very, very good effort. Heisch, he's got a loss of momentum. He can still carry on with this at the moment. He should be good to go, but yeah, little bit of momentum just lost in the last few laps. He's still got a little bit of a way to catch it up, and he's got an entire race for the main race to try and get that back together, of course. Alrighty, that is once again a possible opportunity for Gilly to catch up to Heischler. He's got a long straight, he's using the energy to do so, and he's catching up nicely. Is he going to try and commit for the move into turn one? It looks like he will. He has to do it now. He's come so far to back out. He's kind of backed out. No way did he just do that. Heischler was ready to leave him space, and then he slowly moved back to the inside line, and there is Gilly's advantage lost. He's now got no energy left. That is that done. As a reserve driver, of course, he wants to take a little bit more caution and not risk anything too much, of course, so that's fair enough. But I think that was a very straightforward opportunity to even just stick his nose in on the inside and force Heisch to a different line to get that move done. He doesn't get it done now, and he's going to have to wait a little bit longer. The ERS, though, that did not help him at all. He burnt so much right there. I've just got a lot to defend with at the moment, and in the wet conditions, even more so, it's very difficult to actually get it right, of course, when making an overtake. So he's got everything in his hands right now to hold Gilly behind. Gilly, he just needs a little bit more to try and catch up. He seemed to have an advantage in the straight, and look at that ERS gain in the S section. That's what I was talking about. You gain so much in the middle sector, and now he's going to have another opportunity spamming the ERS, but this time Heischler, he's going to use a little bit of ERS to make sure that Gilly doesn't get an opportunity to have a look. I did try to say Gilly, it just kind of didn't come out of my mouth. I do apologise. Now, he's very close on exit on turn 3, but not really close enough to make a move once again. The straight just kind of comes to an end a little bit too closely, but he makes a mistake, and that's contact. I do not believe it. That's damage for Gilly, and Heischler luckily gets away with it. The question is, does Gilly have a big enough gap to stay ahead of Dave Raptors in this race, or are they going to have to... I don't know. I don't know. Surely they don't pit. Surely they can't pit. I think they have to do their best to stay out. 6 seconds is the gap that they have. Is that enough to finish this race? in front of Dave Raptors. Luckily for him, Heisler did not get affected by that incident. Actually, overall, it's probably affected him quite nicely because now he's got no pressure from behind. He can just relax all the way to the end of this race. Interestingly enough, Nifo's kind of slowed down on gaining that gap. It's either that or Pursoon sped up, and he's got the consistency even without the ABS. But although he does have that massive gap with a 3 second, that's only 3.6 seconds. Compared to a second a lap he was gaining, although I don't see why he'd push too hard because he is so far in the lead. He just needs to make sure that he secures everything. There is no need to risk anything more than you need, of course. In his position, Gilly though, that is a 6 second gap to the car in front that he has, as he does have a big moment of understeer. Dave Raptors, the race is on. He's got a couple laps to try and make this work. 5 seconds, 4.8, 4.7, 4.6. He is on a roll. That damage is very costly, and I know it didn't look like it was going to be an exciting race, but we've got something to be excited about. I'm sure we can make it work, can't we? That is absolutely incredible. Not in a good way for Gilly, but a brilliant way for Dave Raptors. He loses the car a little bit, so you're going to be careful of that. He still needs to keep it on circuit in order to finish first. First, you have to finish, so he's got to make sure that that works out, because Gilly, although he does have the disadvantage, he's got track position. So not only does Dave Raptors have to stay on track and catch up, he has to make that overtake. 4.4 seconds. He will catch up pretty much everywhere. He's got a lot more energy compared to what Gilly had. Although Gilly might have saved a little bit up. I'm saying that because Gilly, of course, was fighting Heisler just moments earlier on. That is a lock up there for Dave Raptors. That's going to hinder his performance on gaining to Gilly. On the exit, though, he seems to have a very nice advantage. Will he be able to find it as we head, or as we're on the penultimate lap of the race? And would he be able to get anything on the final lap of the race? That S section is going to be where he is mighty. That is where he really wants to focus on things and catch up, and he can definitely do so. 3.6 seconds now is the gap. He can see it. It's so close. It's just in front of him. You can see the bright red car, even in the dark clouds. It's absolutely incredible. You can now actually see as well the interconditions with wet tyres. It's so difficult to keep the car in a straight line, and that is a massive hit on the wall, but somehow no damage as he just about sideswipes it, doesn't hit it fully head on, and got away with that absolutely amazingly. I do not believe it. That was absolutely incredible. He might have a small bit of damage, but other than that, he's good to go. Nipojan, he does lead the way. I do actually think it might still be in full wet conditions, because the rate of rain that is pouring down on the circuit, it's pretty intense. So I don't think we'll actually see the interconditions kick in. But this guy, he doesn't really care about that. He's just driving the car at the moment. He's got a couple more corners to go, and he will do everything that he needs to so far this weekend to get all the points he possibly can. Nifojan has got a couple more corners, and he will be able to take the win in the sprint. Let's see how it goes on the final few corners. He's doing everything he needs to. His rival is not here today, so this is perfect for him to maximise those points. And you could say that's a little bit of a cheap win, but no, it's not. It still matters. It's still part of the championship. Nifojan wins the sprint race in Brazil. Absolutely perfect from him. And Pursoon gets a P2. That's absolutely epic from them, managing to drive without any assists. That is absolutely amazing. Well done. And Heisler, he's gonna come round the final corner to take his first podium and on his wheel. Absolutely amazing. Well done to him. Very good job. Gilly, he's gonna hold on with that damage and take that P3, and Dave Raptors just about misses out and will be in P5. Now, something that I've just realised, we're going to be having a dry start to this race. Fastest lap is up to grabs. for the start of the race, but in the end of the race, it's just going to be full wet. So you won't be able to get fastest lap later on. These drivers have to consider that right away because they're only going to get a couple laps to actually go for that fastest lap. Nifo takes the win, Pursuit in P2, then we have Hydra in P3, Gilly, Dave Raptors, Hank the Tank disconnecting, and PJ in P7 DNFing earlier on. Hank the Tank hopefully can get in for the main race. We'll see. I'm going to go for the race director just in case, but we will not see it. We'll see you in a bit for the race. Ready? Go! Not yet, go! Who's gonna get it? That is a what the hell? Fastest lap right off the line from Nifo-chan. Absolutely incredible. How did they do that? I do not know. That is very, very interesting. That's actually, what the hell? Okay. Lots of disconnections, it seems. Or is that not so? It is. Lots of disconnections. That's an interesting start to the race. Is it suggesting that Nifo is a lap in front? No, lots of cars retiring from the race. Okay, I see what's going on. Alright, that is that. We'll be right back. We're going to restart the lobby. I do apologise for the issues. Alrighty, thank you very much everyone for waiting. We are almost on our way for the main race. We'll see you in a minute. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's gonna get it into turn one? Nifo gets away very, very well. Pursoon can't quite catch up, but that's to the inside. Who's to the inside? It's Pursoon. That is actually Heischler going for the switcheroo. He's got the job done. Absolutely incredible. Very, very well done. Is he going to be able to hold on to the position, though? Pursoon looks like they might want to have a look again. That's PJ also making moves. That's the Aston Martin of Mikash and a big crash. Both the Alpine and the Williams are involved. That is Dave Raptors, unfortunately, having big issues. What a shame. What a shame right there. Oh, I don't quite know what happened. There's no safety car. It's just a yellow. Both cars down the order. The rest of the pack, however, they are holding on pretty nicely. That is Heischler in P2 staying as they are, but Pursoon actually lost out. They lost out big time, and they're going to lose out even more. Have they got damage? Where did they get this damage from? Was that the contact between PJ and Dave Raptors? I didn't think they were racing side by side with them. Somehow, they've managed to get damage on some sort of wall on the circuit, I guess. That is very unfortunate there for Pursoon. He is going to go into the pit lane, interestingly. Now, I didn't expect that. I thought he might have tried to stay out and then carry on until we get into the wet conditions, but maybe not. Maybe that's that for Pursoon, unfortunately. Nifojan still leads. He's in first place by a long margin. 2.6 seconds is the gap, and then Gillies right behind Eichler. This is going to be interesting. These guys have just had a little while to get used to the wet conditions, so now they've got to jump straight into the dry conditions, and then they'll have to go back into the wet conditions again in a little bit. Alrighty. a yellow, a virtual safety car, and that is an interesting one. I don't quite know what happened. That does allow people to relax. It allows Pursoon to warm up his tyres, but there's nothing more than just a virtual safety car. That is it. Not entirely sure why it's been deployed, why it's needed to be deployed, but I guess just things happen sometimes. That's that, and we'll get ready to go for the restart very, very shortly. We're going to start lap 2. And green about now. No? Now. Maybe not. Maybe about now? Never mind. Alright, we're going to be going green at some point very, very soon. That's all I can say. We're going to get onto the straight for these guys. That'll be a great time for the flag to go green. For Nifojan, however, he's got a tricky corner to get right, so he's got to be careful he doesn't speed over the delta. Looks like he's got control of it so far. He's not really doing too much on slowing down or speeding up. He's just keeping a constant pace. Still got to be careful. Pursoon goes into the pit lane once again, as they do have to maybe rechange their wing. Maybe they forgot to actually enable that option. Nifojan all of a sudden slows up as the delta maybe caught up with them, and DRS is now available as they are released from the yellow flags. Now, DRS is available. That's actually prevented Heisler from trying to do anything about escaping the cars behind, and Gilly's going to get DRS automatically. That couldn't have been any better for Gilly there. That's absolutely perfect. And also, Mikash is right there in P4. So this is a little bit of a train that we've got going on. This is exactly what we wanted. At the start of this race, of course, the wet conditions are going to probably break that apart. Oh my god, look at the speed in that car. Mikash goes for a look on the inside, but he will not be able to get close enough. He will have to sit, right behind for now, but just about keeping in a straight line. That could have been very, very bad there. That could have gone very, very wrong. Still in this race, and with DRS, so they're in for a very, very good one. Alrighty, that is that. Gilly sits in P3 still, and they're going to be the first one to attack. I say that though, Mikash was so quick in the straight line it seemed, and he had a big advantage. You can see the clouds are slowly getting darker and darker and darker already, which definitely shows that we are going to be getting some pretty heavy rain later on. The question is, will we be considering going to the inters at all, or would we just go straight onto the wets? Nifojan goes and sets the fastest lap of the race, and Gilly gets DRS and is able to push past in front of Heisler. Mikash will sit right behind. Maybe he can get involved in this one in a little while, but right now he stays where he is, as he's in the train, but he's at the back of the train, which always makes it extremely difficult for you. Alrighty. Looking all good right now for Nifojan. 4.5 seconds. Similar situation to what we saw in the sprint race, of course, as he gains a big amount of time in a very short period of time. So this is all going to be good for him, especially later on when it comes to the pit stops. He'll have a bit more of a margin for error if he goes in on one lap or stays out a little bit longer. You know, it definitely will help him. And for the longer the better in the dry conditions, really, because the more he can seem to have his pace advantage. Although Gilly has got a lot of straight line speed in that car, and Hige isn't going to be anywhere near overtaking them for the time being, and that is actually Mikash losing out on DRS. They catch up a lot on the start-finish straight. They'll get DRS here as we go onto the main straight. But yeah, that was a close call there for Mikash. That could have been it all over, but it's very difficult to catch up when the car in front has DRS, of course, because it cancels it out. It cancels out the effectiveness of the DRS. That's actually Gilly with a flashing light and Pursoon with the fastest lap. So everybody's getting a little bit, I don't know, caught up on lap 6 already. It's, yeah, very, very crazy as they're trying to make the best of the dry conditions, maybe pushing a little bit too hard. Now, Heichler will be able to do a pretty good job. And Mikash also, he needs to find a little bit more time to catch up to the cars ahead. But with the straight line speed advantage he seems to have, he might be good to go, you know. He might actually have a pretty nice advantage. 0.5 seconds though is the gap, which is going to make it incredibly difficult. Haj isn't going to be challenging for a move on this straight. He'll catch up nicely though, and maybe have a look into turn 4. It is very, very possible. Turn 2, and on the exit of turn 3, will he be using the ERS? He will be using the energy. He's going to get the DRS to get even more power. Here we go. He's going to go for the overtake. He has to stick to it now. He's gone too far to back out. Gilly will hold on for a minute, and that's a brilliant defensive maneuver there for Gilly. Gilly's done that perfectly. Absolutely awesome. And Mikash will catch up a little bit, but they don't seem to be as strong in the middle sector. In the first and final sector, they're absolutely rapid. They do catch up a little bit, as Gilly is still having to go slightly defensive to Heichler because he's so close now after that DRS. Absolutely incredible for Gilly and Mikash. Heichler, he's struggling big time. He doesn't want this at all. But Gilly, all of a sudden now, they have a decent amount of ERS. And also Heichler, he had to use a lot of energy to try and even have a go at overtaking Gilly. So that's really made it difficult. And now they're both equal on the battery. So it's just about DRS and setup right now. Gilly is going to be in trouble as Heichler will go to the outside line. Gilly should have the advantage. Are they going to get the DRS here? Heichler squoze them a little bit too tightly there. There's contact. Gilly's going to still sit behind, and now they're going to get the DRS. So they're going to try and make that move back and give him a little bit of payback from that little moment of contact. Goes to the outside line. Is he going to look for the switchback or go the long way round? He's going to try and go the long way round. Heichler has the inside line. It's a drag race up to turn 6. Gilly's got him. I think he's got him. He's got the advantage. Heichler's going to try and go for the switchback and send it to the inside line. Surely that's not going to work. Gilly should have it, but no. He backs out in the end, and Heichler will hold on. Very, very aggressive there. He's just about got away with it, but he's got to make sure that he doesn't do that too many times, because otherwise he could be in a bit of trouble. Mikash has loved this. He's managed to catch up very, very nicely, so well done to him. DRS available, and a lot of DRS as well available for him, so perfect job. It's just whether he can be in a position to make an overtake. Gilly once again having a look, this time to the outside line, and he's going to try and swoop it all the way through. Heichler will have to leave the space. Did he get the DRS? DRS is disabled. It's disabled already. The raindrops are falling, and Gilly will not have the benefit of the DRS. After all that, it was so close. That's Mikash to the inside. Mikash is using all the energy that he can while he has it left. Is he going to be able to secure the move on Gilly? No, there's contact. Gilly will stay in front, and Mikash will have to slot in. That is absolutely incredible. Now, DRS has been disabled. That's actually Bassoon having an issue, and that will be Nifojan lapping him already. You can see how greasy the circuit is, and all of a sudden it's just got super wet. DRS was disabled just before, or just at the detection point, and that was that. I think we're going to be seeing a pit stop. I don't see a reason not to make a pit stop, so Nifo will probably be the first one to go in. Is he going to go onto the inter tyre, or is he going to try and go all the way onto that hard tyre full wet tyre immediately? Because that full wet tyre is going to be what we'll need for later on in the race. Bassoon retires in the pit lane. Fair enough, they did say that, and that's Heichler getting a 5 second as he speeds in the pit lane, unfortunately, so that's not ideal for him. Gilly into the pit lane. He's going to go for the full wets. Everybody's going for the full wets except from Dave Raptors, who pitted a lap early onto that intermediate tyre. Mikash also going for that intermediate tyre. I'm really interested to see how this has gone, but Heichler, no! No. Heichler, unfortunately, didn't put the right tyre on. He's on the hard tyre in the wet conditions. Oh, no, no, no. That is not a reset to track, by the way. He won't get a penalty for that one, but a virtual safety car is deployed because of that damage on the track. That is such a shame. Such a shame. That's incredible. And I'll tell you what, that's great news for the top two on their wet tyres. That's horrible news for Mikash and PJ. Mikash and PJ, their tyres should be more or less like, what, a second a lap, maybe even 2 seconds a lap faster when the crossover point kicks in. But now we're spending a bit of time under the virtual safety car conditions during the crossover point. That advantage all of a sudden disappears. So now they don't have that advantage. And Nifojan and Gilly are going to gain even more from what they possibly would have had anyway. So that is a heck of a shame for those guys, but we're going to go for a restart already. The intermediate tyres are still more beneficial. The question is, how much pace will they have over that wet tyre? Right now, Mikash should have the advantage. He should be able to catch up nicely. And only until we get the puddles will we have a problem. He's going to power on to the inside line, but back off immediately. Gilly goes very deep as he's focusing so much on the car on the inside that wasn't there. And now, will Mikash be able to secure a good exit? Will he have a look at making an overtake? I don't think he will. He's going to have to wait behind him. Maybe those intermediate tyres aren't as powerful as we thought anyway. That is very, very interesting for him. But yeah, I guess maybe not as interesting. Not going to be able to go for a move. But he's looking pretty close, I will admit. So maybe they are more powerful. It's just the wet conditions that are virtually impossible to overtake him. That would definitely be a very, very possible theory. He'll sit behind for the time being. A nice helicopter angle that we have on the screen right now, followed by an insanely close shot where you can't actually see anything. Gilly is up in front. There's a bit of a loss of the rear from Mikash, but nothing too much to worry about. Now, the drivers on the wet tyres, they should be absolutely fine to the end. I say should. There's only a slight chance that they'll have a problem, but they spent a lot of the race on a set of soft tyre or medium tyres, slick compound. So all that possible extra wear has pretty much gone, and they'll be good to go. Whereas Mikash, yeah, he'll have fresher wet tyres, but I don't think it's going to be significant enough for him to have an advantage later on. PJ is also trying to bank on this intermediate tyre, as well as Dave Raptors, and interestingly, Heischler. Heischler, staying out a little bit longer, decided to go for the inters instead of trying to get straight onto the wets, which I don't know how that has gone, to be honest, because he's not that far in front of Nifojan. Nifojan's already on that wet tyre. He will not be pitting again. He's going to be going straight to the end, so that would suggest that Heischler is at risk of getting lapped, and he's going to go into the pit lane again for a set of soft wet tyres anyway. No, he's going to DNF. He's going to DNF. He's going to lose guaranteed points for a DNF. That is a heck of a shame. That's making it even easier for Nifojan, because worst come to worst for him, he'll still score 10 points, and that would be 18 points overall for the weekend. Sorry about that. So, that is good news for him, of course. Gilly, Mikash, and PJ, all in a lovely, lovely train. This is going to be interesting. Mikash really wants to have a go here, but it's not going to be possible. Sure, PJ's got a lot of confidence in that car. Gilly makes a mistake. Here comes Mikash, and surely PJ's going to want something on this. He's looking for the inside line, maybe even to the outside. He will have a look. Gilly, he can't find the momentum. He's going to lose out big time. That will be that for Gilly. All of a sudden, had just a couple of bad corners, I guess. Maybe these wet tyres really are pretty bad in these conditions at the moment. We just weren't able to see it right away. You can see Mikash is catching up quite nicely to Nifojan, so it would suggest that those wet tyres aren't quite ready. I would still suggest, though, that the wet tyre has such an advantage anyway. It just does. You're always going to have an advantage. It's full wet conditions towards the later start of the part of this race. Really midway to the final stage, of course. So in that regard, you shouldn't be needing to make another pit stop. PJ wasn't able to get too close. They have a lot of traction in that car. They're able to manage that very, very well. They catch up a little bit to Mikash, but Mikash has got that straight line speed that we saw so much in the previous races, previous laps. To the outside line, he's going to have a look. Mikash will defend, but swooping once again to the outside line. Will PJ do it? He loses the car, goes off the circuit and gets himself a time penalty. Still manages to stay side by side, but at what cost? Now, that is the position done for him. That's Mikash, though, losing out a little bit. Is that a bad thing or not? PJ, he has a lot of traction in the corners. He has a lot of speed in the corners. And he actually lost out by making that overtake because he got that time penalty. But Mikash, look at this straight line speed. If he can get the traction down, he might have a nice advantage. 1.1 seconds is the gap. 1.2 it goes up to. Surely it's going to start counting down a little bit. It does. It does. How much, though? Will he be able to catch that back up to? 0.7, even 0.6 is possible. It is possible. And he'll catch up once again a little bit, of course. You can really see how fast the Inters actually are. It was the right tyre to use after all. It really was. It's just you don't have the risk of getting a time penalty for speeding. That's the only difference. That is the only difference. PJ, 7 seconds is the gap to Nifojan in front. 7 seconds is the advantage that he has. 6.7, 6.6, 6.5 in the middle sector. He's absolutely brutal. Shows no mercy to Nifojan. Nifo is only going to get quicker, though, at this stage of the race. Like 15 out of 36. We're almost at the halfway point. And that would suggest we'd need to fit a set of wet tyres. Full wets, the blue wall tyre. We just need to see that standing water on the circuit for that to be actually a viable option. Right now, we don't really see any standing water. It's just a wet track, a very damp track for that matter. As you can currently see, there's no just blotchy patches. It's looking good. 5.6 seconds, 5.4. He can see Nifojan in front. You can see him ahead. And right now, he has to make this work. He goes off the circuit a little bit. That was a big risk he was taking. He has to make this work right now. He has to gain everything he possibly can because in a little bit, he's going to have to pit. And he's going to lose out big time because Nifojan and Gilly will not be pitting. They're going to have about an 18 to 20 second advantage to the other guys on top of what Nifojan already has, if he has it by the time PJ goes into the pit lane. So that is going to be something to consider later on in the race, and that will suggest that Gilly and Nifojan, even though they look like they're at a disadvantage right now, does have the right strategy going. Losing the car very slightly as they go through the fast left-hander of turn 11, I believe that is. 12, 13, and then 14 and 15. I think, yes, that's correct. I'm pretty sure. If not, then shame. Alrighty. Nifojan holding on nicely. 3.5 seconds. It doesn't change much when you get onto a straight, so all good to see. That's Dave Raptors retiring in the S section, and that's going to be a full safety car. Full safety car while Mikash is in the pit, so Mikash could gain nicely here. The question is, would Nifojan and Gilly want to go for a pit stop? They'll lose out on track position. PJ's not really going to be too happy because now that time penalty is even more effective as it would have been before. On the other hand, they catch up nicely to everyone and the gap's going to be very, very close. 4 drivers on track at the moment. 2 EU drivers, 2 F1 drivers. Everyone else just wants to score points. Nifojan has to win this race, and PJ, he just wants to get everything he can, because if he can jump up the order in the championship, that is sweet for him, of course. That is very, very good. Now, I want to have a look at time penalties real quick. That is P3. I also want to have a look at fastest lap. Who got the fastest lap? That is Nifo. Getting the fastest lap by just about a 10th from Gilly. So Gilly was actually pretty close to beating Nifo with that fastest lap. But he does have the advantage, and he will keep that. There's no one going to be beating that in the wet conditions. Unless you are, I don't know, absolutely insane. PJ will pit, of course. Nifojan does opt for a pit stop, so Gilly's probably going to follow on. Mikash doesn't need to follow on. The question is, will the Delta hold him behind Gilly, or will he be able to jump Gilly? Let's watch. Let's watch and see. He should have a bit of an advantage. He's going to jump him by a mile, actually. He was already ahead anyway, so that would suggest he would have got it anyway. But, I mean, he was in the pit lane a little bit whilst the safety car came out already, so he gains a little bit more from that, but he won't be able to get ahead of PJ. Everybody are going to be on more or less equal tyres. We're going to be going racing at the end of this lap, and yeah, these guys are going to get a moment to warm their tyres up a little bit. Mikash's tyres, they're going to be lovely and warm. Very, very nice and warm on his car, of course. Gilly, he's also going to be going slow only once we get going, of course, because he'll catch up a little bit later on. Which means Nifojan and PJ, they're going to be struggling for tyre temperature the most out of all of them. Although in the wet conditions, the tyres are so cold anyway, it doesn't really feel any different. You just feel like you're driving with a tricky setup, that's all. Alrighty. To apologise for the delay. We're going to be going racing, I'm sure, at the end of this lap. I will just quickly check something and then we'll get confirmation. Gilly does catch up. It doesn't tell us on our screens at the moment. It's still waiting and it's not going in. It's going to stay out. Interestingly. That's weird. Okay. Well, everybody's tyres are going to be cold now. That's all. That's all. Alrighty. We're going to be racing on lap 20 out of 36. That means we're going to have, what, 18 laps of racing? "17 laps of racing. Why am I so dumb?" Anyway. That's how it's going to go. Still a long way in this race. And on wet condition tyres. Or in wet conditions, on wet tyres. They've done it before in the sprint race. They should be used to it. It shouldn't be a big deal. It's just who can manage it best consistency-wise as well. Alrighty, safety car's in this lap. Let's get this. Nifojan leads the way. PJ sits in P2. He is the one to react. And Mikash and Gilly, they're going to be waiting behind patiently. When will Nifojan go for it? When will he go for it? Wants to get that car straightened up, and he's gone for it now. PJ reacts okay, but he has to try and scramble for traction, which does lose him out a little bit. It's pretty much spread out, but Gilly was caught napping a little bit there. That is not ideal from them. I'm sure they'll be able to catch up a little bit, of course. Everybody's going to be pretty close, so they'll slow each other down very, very slightly. Not slow each other down, but you know what I mean. Traffic, it gets in the way very, 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 very slightly. Now, PJ, gonna give it his best shot to give Nifojan some sort of competition, although Nifojan, I think he has a pretty good confidence, not only around the circuit, but in the wet conditions. I say that as he goes off the circuit, makes a bit of a mistake. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you don't gain time, you don't gain a time penalty, and of course you don't crash. So he manages to keep it in a straight line, luckily for him, and he will stay as he is. PJ sits in P2. There's a bit of a gap between himself and Mikash, and then Gilly has caught up, and he's looking pretty racy at the moment. He does want to get past that Aston Martin. There's going to be a little bit of a battle going on right here, which could be very, very interesting indeed. On the exit, I thought he would have had the grip, but no, makes a mistake. That is going to be Mikash holding on for this lap for now. Very lovely stuff. Lap 21 out of 36 we are on right now. We're definitely racing, if you hadn't already noticed. Nifojan has picked up the pace, everything he possibly can. He just needs a bit of a gap. Once he's got that gap, he can relax. And PJ's even got a 3 seconds, so actually that's an even bigger advantage than we can currently see. So, once he does have somewhat of a gap, he doesn't need to risk anything. Yeah, you know, you could say, oh, I'm just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because that's what everybody wants to hear, of course, from a driver. They want to, oh, I pushed every single lap. Championship-wise, though, that's probably not very clever. You just want to make sure that you secure those points. And right now, with the pace that Nifojan's showed us, and the situation that he's in right now, he doesn't need to risk anything. He doesn't need to risk anything. Alrighty. Nifojan holding on nicely. Let's just watch on board and see. No, we will not actually, because Gilly and Mikash are very, very close. Will he be able to get on the traction? This time he does get on the traction. Going to span that ERS surely. Not around the left-hand bend. He will hold it flat to the floor. Going to be powering through as much as he can. But Mikash is dominant in the straight line. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to try and get that Aston Martin in the corners, Gilly. Otherwise, you're not getting past at all. Very, very good stuff from Mikash here. Doing enough in the corners. On the traction, though, it seems like he has a disadvantage. He's going to span that ERS and stay in front. Gilly is not going to be thinking about making a move anytime soon. We'll have to sit behind and wait, so he's all relaxed at the moment. Just needs to spot his opportunity, wait for Mikash to make a mistake, or even try and go for a bit of a send into the corner section. Right now, he's not able to do anything too much. It's very difficult to overtake in the wet conditions. A slight mistake from the Aston, but nothing enough to open up an opportunity for the Ferrari behind. Ferrari sits in P4. But they want more. The traction is where it needs to be on this corner. It's just, can they find it? On the curb a little bit, they do get the traction down. They just need to keep pressurizing Mikash to try and force him to use all the energy in that car, so then Gilly can have a better opportunity at making a move. But at the moment, Mikash is way too quick in the straight line, and there's going to be no stopping him. There's a 3-second gap between Nifojan and PJ, and a 3-second gap as well between PJ and Mikash, more or less, of course. I should say, almost 4 seconds between PJ and Nifojan, and it was momentarily 2.8, actually now 2.9 between Mikash and PJ. But Gilly is still putting that pressure on, and it's not easy for Gilly to get past. So what would you want to be right now? Would you want to be the Aston of Mikash, defending, staying in front, or would you want to be the driver to try and make that overtake? I kind of say you want to be the car in front. You've got all the confidence in the world, and it's going to be so difficult to actually make an overtake. In fact, I've been in a very similar situation myself around this circuit in the wet conditions, and the car behind just can't overtake as long as you're quick enough in a straight line and consistent enough in the corners. And that's what he's got. And it should be a pretty good combination for him to be able to secure this podium. Gilly, all he needs to find is one mistake from Mikash, and then he can make that move. And I think if he does get into clean air, he is gone in the middle sector, of course. He will absolutely fly away. It's just whether Mikash will be pressured into making a mistake. Gilly, talking about mistakes, does make one. He is not one, but he does make one, and that is going to be a big chunk of time lost. He'll catch it back up in that middle sector, I'm sure, but the confidence almost lost, potentially. So he could possibly be in a bad rhythm. That's what we talked about in the sprint race. If you get in a bad rhythm, you're going to be in big, big trouble. Right now he's good to go. He does catch up nicely. Not as much as he was before, but he's getting closer, slowly but surely. And he's got one final major corner to catch up nicely as well. And then he'll have a bit of pain on the straights, whereas Mikash will be way too overpowered. Both drivers making a mistake. I was going to say, Mikash might have an opportunity, or no, Gilly might have an opportunity here, because Mikash made a big mistake, but no. No, no, no. That will not happen at all. Gilly will make that mistake and lose out big time. He catches up very, very nicely, about 2/10 into the first corner, 3/10 more or less, actually, in the first few corners. On the straight, he'll lose it again. It's just whether he'll be able to catch back up and even more in the S section. He was about 6/10 behind before, so this is the gap that he's trying to get even further down. 6/10 right now already. Is he going to be able to get that to 5/10 before he gets to the right-hander? No, but he will get it right now. 4/10 possibly as well, maybe. The question is, how close can he get? Can he get it to 2/10 actually? That is something that we could consider. 4/10, 3/10, 4/10 again. Is it going to go back to 3/10? I'm sure it will into the braking zone, but momentarily only. And it won't get to 2/10. It will stay just about in the 3/10 range. There you go, there's the 2/10. He's now back where he was before. On the traction, needs to be as smooth as he can. That is a mistake from Mikash. Another little bit of a mistake, and Gilly all of a sudden spots an opportunity. Goes wide as he tries to keep it flat in the dirty air with the ERS. Mikash, however, that straight line speed is absolutely incredible. Very, very good job for him to have a perfect setup on that car. This is definitely going to make Gilly think about tomorrow's race, and it's definitely going to make Mikash pretty confident for tomorrow's race as well. Gilly's pretty close. It's not exactly easy, and the pressure is definitely on, but he still has the advantage at the moment. Nothing available for him yet. He'll just sit behind at the moment. Maybe sending it into the braking zone. He could have a look. He does have a look to try and spook him, but Mika's just not phased. He'll hold on for now. Nifojan. Oh, bit of a moment on the exit. He's just playing, I guess. I was going to say playing with himself, but that would have been a little bit weird. Nifojan leads the way on lap 26 as he's about to start lap 27 to make it 10 laps of the race remaining. He's 6.1 seconds in front, and PJ behind, of course, has a time penalty, so that's actually 9.6 seconds in front. So he's loving life at the moment. It's everything he needs to do. He's guaranteed the fastest lap because nobody else can beat it, as we're now in wet conditions compared to the dry conditions earlier on. He's loving everything at the moment. He's got no problems, no pressure. He just needs to relax and take these points all the way home. Mikash just holds on for another lap. Gilly can't get past anytime soon. He will sit behind. PJ, he's loving life as well. He's not close to Nifo, but he's pretty far away from the cars behind. He's got no pressure. He just needs to keep it on track, and he's going to get a P2. That is lovely for him. He's going to get a lovely, lovely podium. And sure, the grid's smaller, but it all counts. It all counts. Literally, if you're going to turn up and you're going to stay in the race, That is where you get the points, and that's what he's doing right now, and that'll be a very nice advantage for him in the championship. Maybe he can catch up to a couple of the drivers ahead and boost himself. That could be very, very nice indeed for him. 3/10 behind is Gilly. He's so close. He's looking confident. Nothing available right now. Alrighty, once again on the exit, Gilly, he doesn't seem to have a bad exit. Is it good enough? That's the real question though. It's not going to be good enough as he loses the car on the rear. That was a scurry moment for him. Loses the car momentarily as they go round the slight kink. In real life, it actually isn't a kink at all. It's a big corner, but on telly, TV, and in the game, it looks like pretty much almost straight. But you definitely can't go flat out with ERS and dirty air. So that's what Gilly just found out on our screens just a moment ago. Whee, that was a bit of a mistake there for Mikash. That's going to allow Gilly to catch up and maybe have a psychological advantage momentarily over the Aston Martin. Would it be possible? That is the question. Time will tell. Lap 20 out of 36. We did have a long way to go. We are slowly counting down the laps and losing out. And I would say, in dry conditions, Gilly's just sitting behind and he's going to go for the overtake on the last few laps. But in the wet conditions, it's not that easy. And as you can see right now, Mikash has the advantage. If he can stay in front, he's going to take that podium. You want to be in front in wet conditions. In dry conditions, maybe not so much. Gilly, he's close here. You get round the kink. He's not close, but a mistake is made by the Aston Martin. He's going to have to use everything he can. And look at it once again. The straight line speed is so superior. He's trying to send it to the inside, but once again, Mikash will not care. He knows that he doesn't need to worry about Gilly because he's way too far back to make an overtake. But there are cracks in Mikash's driving with the traction. That's what he's struggling with at this stage of the race. Can he find the rhythm back that he had earlier on at the beginning of this race? We'll have to see. Oh my god, that is absolutely perfect from Gilly, but no, he will not be close enough to make an overtake. He knows what he has to do. He knows he has to make it soon. He is going to once again send it to the inside, but yet again, Mikash can react. He knows that he's not going to be there to the inside. If Gilly does make it to the inside, then he'll have to leave the space, but he doesn't need to worry about it right now. Once again, sending it, but he just doesn't get affected. He does not care, Mikash, and that's brilliant. Oh, to the inside. Is it going to be possible? Gilly's going to send it. He's going to force his way through. That's Mikash having to leave the space, but on the exit, he'll have the advantage with the wider line, and he should have the ERS as well. Oh, this is very, very close between the two as they go side by side down the straight. Mikash, as you get to the end of the straight, though, he is gone. He's absolutely dropped him. Perfect racing between both of them. Brilliant defending from Mikash and brilliant overtaking attempts from Gilly. He's really giving it everything at the moment. He has the advantage on the traction and in the corners, but not in the straight line. And that's not what you're used to seeing, is it? Gilly, usually, and in the past, very good in a straight line. This season, however, he's opted for a higher downforce setup, and it's worked for him championship-wise, but not in this race specifically. So he's going to have to consider, do I go back to low downforce, or should I stay as I am and try and keep it running for the rest of the season? That's something for him to decide for tomorrow's race, of course. Very, very close. Quick check up on the rest of the race. Nifojan 10.6 seconds in front. Mikash, of course, 6 seconds behind PJ. PJ loving it in P2 at the moment. Of course, he wants that P1, but it's not really a big deal to him at the moment. Those points will always be a nice advantage. Gilly trying to get on that throttle as best as he can. He is a little bit too aggressive this time around, though, and he's going to lose out big time. So only advantages to be gained from Mikash here. Very, very good job. And at the end of the straight, look at that, a 1 second gap absolutely mega straight line speed. But look, on the exit of turn 3, what does Gilly get it down to? 8 tenths, 7 tenths. He does get it to 7 tenths, even 6 tenths. That's how mega his cornering speeds are. But once again, Mikash will be able to have the advantage at the end of the straight, and he'll be able to defend. Even if Gilly gets alongside, Gilly has to make sure that he gets alongside into the S section and sends it. He has to absolutely send it. And unfortunately for him, Mikash will have to react pretty well. And if he doesn't react, it might not necessarily be his fault if there is a collision, but yeah, that's going to be something to consider. I don't really want to comment on that too much, but basically, Gilly's going to have to go for a send. Mikash is going to have to be prepared to watch out for it. And if he can prepare for it in the right way, then he'll be good to go. That is almost an overtaking opportunity there for Gilly. I don't know if he meant to do that, if he was just trying to have a look to the inside, but it looked like he almost actually sent it a little bit too far back. He just needs to try and find the rhythm and get back a little bit more, set up an overtake within the next 2 to 3 laps, and then go for it. He hasn't really got that long to actually make a move anyway, and he does make a mistake, unfortunately, getting a bit of over-rotation and having to catch it, which only loses him more time. And that is not what you want to see. We want to see a nice close battle, and we can still have it. We've still got a couple laps to get this done, of course, but not making it any easier by dropping back a little bit. We'll sit behind for now, Will Gilly. Mikash is loving it at the moment. You can see that bright red Ferrari behind him. So he constantly knows where Gilly is. And that could be his advantage because you've got a big red car distracting you in your rear view mirror. But also, it could be a big advantage because you always know where that car is. You can see it very clearly, whether it's inside, outside, far away, or very, very close. But look at that straight line speed. You can even hear it. You can hear the wind passing past, even more so than you do in the Ferrari. He just has so much straight line speed. In the corners, though, as you see, as he enters turn 3, he has a big, big moment where he goes very, very slow because he doesn't have the downforce to back it up. But it is what it is. Good to go for now. Gilly has slowly saved up that energy to try and charge for an overtake. He's very, very close, so he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He does, however, need to get it done, ideally at about turn 4, so he then has the second sector to try and have some sort of an advantage. I don't think it's going to be possible to even have a go on the straight. It's just not going to be available because by the time you get to the end of the straight, the Aston has everything in the tank. Very close behind him. He's not really going to worry about too much right now. He just needs to make sure that he minimises time loss on this straight. We're on lap 34 to 36. Nifojan is doing a phenomenal job, and so is PJ. And these guys even more so, battling hard throughout. It's what we like to see. On the exit, what we're going to get to, are we going to get to 5 tenths maybe? No, we're not. We're going to keep it at 6 and go, keep it at 7 and go to 8 and 9. He'll catch up nicely in the cornery sections of the circuit. I think he's going to have to try and send it then. He's going to have to start really pushing with that energy. It's not what he wants to do, but I think it's his only opportunity because you can see the consistency in that Aston Martin. He's able to break away by the time you get to turn 4 and you're not going to have any chance of getting an overtake done. So Mikash, it's perfect management. Honestly, it's absolutely perfect from him right now. Gilly it's perfect opportunity making as he catches up nicely and then loses out a little bit. It's nothing that he can actually do. Both of these guys driving very, very well, but the conditions, the situation, the scenario that they're in is just so complex that it makes it incredibly difficult to understand and actually get anything done about it. The question is, if Gilly was able to make the move, would he be able to hold on to Mikash, or would Mikash get him back on the straight, or even would he have now clean air and then be able to break away significantly to Mikash, and Mikash would have no way of catching back up? I guess we won't know that for sure. We're not going to know it because Gilly has only got a lap and a half to actually make an overtake, so he has to get the overtake done. He won't have a chance to break away. He really needs to be technical at how he gets this move done. But we'll see. We shall see. Nifojan has got a couple more corners to go and he will start the final lap of the race. And it's everything that he's wanted so far, and he's doing a very good job at securing it. And finally he'll be able to break that curse of bad races at Brazil. PJ sits in P2. He's got one more lap to go and he will secure that lovely position. But this is where it is at. Mikash versus Gilly. Who is going to get the podium and who is going to be left at the bottom in Parc Ferme? I don't quite know. Gilly is close. He's very, very close. He's going to use the energy to have minimal damage on the straight and then surely go for a move into turn 4. He needs to make sure he gets a perfect first few corners. Turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3 are absolutely critical for his race. He should have the advantage up until the exit of the corner. He does. He's going to spam the energy. This is his best opportunity to make an overtake. He'll not catch up, but he will be close. He'll be close into 6 and 7, and that is going to be where he really does go for that send. He has the advantage in 5 actually as well. Loses the car on the curb. Absolutely critical. That's not what he wants to do. Here we go though. Into turn 8. Is he going to dive down to the inside? No, he will not. Mikash does not leave the space. He's got 1, maybe 2 major overtaking opportunities right here. It's not going to be possible. He's way too far back. Nifojan is going to do a perfect job and win the Brazilian Grand Prix. That's PJ and P2. But here it is. Will Gilly send it to the inside? Is his only opportunity? He is going to look for it in Mikash. He leaves the space. It's not going to work out. That's going to be Mikash holding on. Mikash will take the podium in the end. Gilly, so close, but it's definitely not going to be possible. Absolutely incredible racing between these guys. Nifojan couldn't be more deserved. Perfect job from him. Very, very well done. And PJ gets driver of the day. I think that's fair enough. Although I would give it to everybody, honestly, who finished that race. They did a very good job today. It wasn't easy at all, especially the sprint race. It makes it even longer and more demanding on endurance to actually get a race complete. And they've done a very good job. They've done a very good job. Nifojan will take the top step off the podium. Nifo wins, PJ in P2, then we got Mikash in P3, followed by Gilly in P4. DNFing was Dave Raptors, Heischler, and Pursoon. That is the grid. You can see the fastest lap for PJ, of course, as well. And for some reason in the background, it is dry. We're going to skim through the incident section and the pit stops. And then we'll see you in a little bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone and welcome back to the post-race interviews of the Brazilian Grand Prix. That was a pretty hectic one in the end, but yeah, well done. Nifo Jan, very, very good job. You did everything you needed to do. You happy with that one?
Yeah, I mean, pull fastest lap and win the sprint race and then fastest lap and win the main race. So it's, I mean, it was all I could do. I mean, it was basically just pull a gap in the beginning and then just manage and just set consistent lap times so people make mistakes in battling and other things like that. And then in the end, it was people made some wrong pit strategies and made incidents, and then there was just a big gap, and I know I had a pace advantage, so just keeping the gap and yeah, pretty good race.
At any point concerned about going for the wet tyres instead of the inters first, or not
Nope.
really?
I already knew it was the best strategy. I mean, it was gonna rain hard anyway, and like because I had such a massive gap, even if they caught up to me, like I would have still been a pit stop ahead. So I was like, right, this is gonna be the best strategy. And then the safety car came out, so there went my gap. But yeah, I mean, it didn't really matter in the end, did it? So, but yeah, it was yeah, I didn't concern myself with if the inters were better.
Fair enough, fair enough. Really well done. Perfect job, and that's everything you needed. Australia is next. Do you like that circuit?
No, I think it's gonna be a dry race because Australia, so that's gonna be like yes, but as a track, no, I'm not so good at it.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, there's some nice straights there, so I'm sure I'll be able to have some good racing. Don't worry about it. All right, thank you very much. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Nice and managed.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today.
Thank you.
And we move on to Gilly. Gilly, that was tough. Oh, that was so tough. Just couldn't quite get through in the end. Absolutely epic attempts. But do you think you could have maybe got it, or just was impossible?
My plan was, after about at lap 30, I was like, okay, this isn't happening, I've got no ERS, so I saved loads of ERS, and my plan was to put him off in the middle sector on the final lap, and then get him on that final corner, and then just keep it flat all the way down the straight, and if I die, I die. If I don't die, I get podium. But I think I messed up the exit before that, or didn't get a perfect one, which I needed to do it. At one point I did pull alongside him on that bit, but I think I lost the back end a bit. But he was so quick in a straight line. If I didn't use my ERS, he was pulling about a second on the back straight.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. It was yeah, a almost dry setup versus a wet setup. So that definitely shows it. Very, very good effort. I'm sure this is great practice for tomorrow. Are you confident for tomorrow now?
If it's wet, I don't know, because I don't know what wings to use.
Fair enough.
I spoke to him and his wings were lower than what I would use in the dry.
Fair enough. I mean, maybe a little bit lower might be an idea then if that's the case. But still, regardless, very good job today. It's a shame you didn't get the podium, but epic effort, and thank you very much for some great entertainment. Well, not on to the last question. Australia, do you like that circuit?
Not in this game. I used to be weirdly good at it, but I don't know, I just don't get on with it this game. It's just weird corners.
Fair enough, yeah, it's very difficult. I think there's a couple of negative camber corners which make it very understeery, but it's weird, yeah. Anyway, one last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words? I just bit my tongue.
It was wet.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. He was referring to the race, by the way, not me biting my tongue. Alright, thank you very much, Gilly. We'll see you soon. And we move on to PJ. That is a very nice podium. Very, very nice podium. I'm sure you're happy with that one.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy. And I had such a good pace throughout the race, because I had 38, 35 wings, which is pretty high. But in those wet conditions, this was key. And I had such a good pace in the wet that didn't spin at all, except of the sprint race.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just awesome.
Yeah, very, very good job. What happened at the start? There was a bit of a moment.
Yeah, at the start there was like I think Heischle in P2 was braking a bit early, and I think it created a chain reaction because I almost also dived into Gilly,
Mm.
but Dave rapped that it was just dive into me and hit me at the back.
Oh,
But yeah, strategy was also very good. I was very lucky with
mm.
the wet tires and stuff.
Yeah.
And I also did two beautiful overtakes around the outside.
Yep.
It just felt awesome.
It was very, very good. I think you got the setup spot on, so well done there. Very good
Yes.
job. And yeah, P2, that is absolutely perfect. Pretty much just cruising to the end, so well done. Australia, you like that circuit more than Brazil? I'd probably say no, but I'm going to ask you
I
anyway.
must say yes. I like the new Australia because I like the fast layout and stuff. The only corner I dislike is the last one.
Hmm.
But overall, I must say I like the circuit.
Yeah, that last corner's deadly. Very, very difficult. I mean, really well done today. Hopefully it goes well in Australia as well. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Just really amazing.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. And that's been it for the post race interviews. That's been it for the F1 Brazilian Grand Prix. We'll see you tomorrow for the F1.5 race, and we will see you next weekend for the Australian Grand Prix. That'll be the penultimate race of the season. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you soon. Good night.